There's a way for any studio photographer to get from this to this on set in less than an hour. Let me show you how in this short behind the scenes video. What's up everyone, YvensB here, Montreal advertising and portrait photographer. So like commentator Alex said in my previous video, hashtag Ferrari year. It's 2021, I apologize for that cringe. But in seriousness, let's try to make this year great. But the question is, how can we? Well, I'm not sure if you're like me, but I really hate massive complexity. And at times, I'm a little lazy. And I'm working out at a busy studio and I don't always have a chance to leave my setups there overnight. And to give you something more relatable, if you rent a studio every time you shoot, you can understand where I come from. I find starting with complex setups kind of distracting, as if I burnt all my energy building that set during the day versus spending time with the subject and getting very tired at the end. Like an example that I also can give you is you wouldn't go on a run without a good warm-up, right? But you wouldn't burn yourself out with a full workout. So why then your creative session should be any different? To me, it's kind of annoying. But there's a way to solve this, and this is something I've actually learned from Joey L. If you don't know Joey L, he's a famous Canadian photographer. Yes, Joey, you are still Canadian to me. That relates to lighting that I now apply in my creative sessions. The technique is called additive lighting.
Additive, additive, additive.
Or additional lighting. But for our case here today, we'll call it additive set building or set building in incremental steps. This method will create for you a bigger book of work and will help you reduce your stress during your creative sessions. How? Well, the thinking here is with the basic job executed, you'll be free to explore, and knowing that you know the requirements, the minimum requirements you have for the job, you have more freedom to execute creatively. And that's where the money is, in my opinion. This method will also make you feel like you've built towards where you need to be versus struggling to get everything perfect beforehand. And that to me generates a lot of stress, and I'm not sure if you feel like me, but that's the way I work and that's the way my mind works. But the only caveat is that you need some time with your subject. And if you have, it's quite powerful. And now a small discussion on why. And like the meme says, well, please change my mind. But to me, a well-executed simplicity or a well-executed simple ID to me beats a poorly done, extremely complicated setup. While I am really far away from the perfect photographer, as a one-man band and I'm doing everything alone, which is to build a set, shoot and edit, this is a way for me to create and actually stay sane at the same time and also be very creative. And this is a lesson that I took from the COVID pandemic, which taught me to be very self-reliant when it comes to GSD or quote-unquote getting shit done. So having a set built by someone else while respecting social distancing protocols and making sure everyone was tested like Rosie and I were is difficult enough. A popular proverb says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Well, for me, the key word in that proverb is quote-unquote go. And staying still won't get me any jobs or won't make me flourish more. So we must go. And sometimes we have to go alone. So let's get this started with this behind the scenes. So let's look at the first set of images. The first thing, of course, is the impact element I chose for this specific set, which is the color. So I chose the color nude or nude color backdrop since I wanted to explore that. I always loved the look of it and thought that this might be a good time to test it, especially with that subject. And we started here with the really basic setup. As for the lighting, the main and only light for Rosie was the 8400 Pro with the 48-inch octabox from actually Autorama, the Easy Lock. I chose this combo specifically for the wraparound capability of the big modifier and the stable colors of the 8400 Pro. In this set of photos, I wanted photos with very little and very soft shadows, and a small modifier could have got me there, but it would have been much more complicated, and I ain't got time to fight with this, so big modifier it is. For the background, we have one large strip box covering most of the area of the frame that I'm shooting in. And with some hindsight, the only mistake I've done is I should have moved the light on the other side, but again, that will be for another time. Now that we have some great and simple shots and my basics are quote-unquote secured, let's move on to a slightly more complex look. And here we'll insert a couple of new elements to this setup. And let's take a look at the second set of images. For this one, the lighting remained the same, but we added a posing table and a vase or I'm French, so everything sounds French, so it's a vase. That's it. The posing table is here to create a different set of energy to make the conversation or the image like more conversation-like. Side note, I'm curious to know, and I want to know, do you find that the posing table gives the photo a more approachable look, or I'm going crazy? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to know your opinion. And also, you might have seen this image from me on Instagram. I also added some branch which we had in a studio. This adds, in my opinion, to the complexity and the depth without propping up a lot of stuff. So while it was a bit of an exercise to actually hold the branch and then use my camera and frame and then try to get a shot that's actually in focus, actually I think we got some good ones out of this. And now I really hope that no one makes it into this branch and camera workout program. Please. Now the final set of images, and let me tell you how we got here. So in order to have the branches show up in another set of frame, I had to use this vase and a box to get them up. See, Rosie is like 6 feet tall, making her really tall. Plus she was cheating and she was wearing heels. I'll tell her that. But all the boxes that I used really helped. But with the new canvas behind her, and having my eye on a similar range of colors, I thought, why not use the Matthews Apple boxes as props? So I went ahead and got them up. The boxes themselves showed no purposes, and since I had branches in my head from the last set, I decided to place them inside of the Apple boxes. And involuntarily, the Apple boxes became vases also, so this is the whole theme. I also added a ladder for the monochromatic color look. As for the lighting, we're still following the additive method of lighting, so the setup was similar to the previous one, except I added a third light on top, which actually became very useful because I had to widen the frame and the canvas was not sufficiently lit with a single strip box. In this case, we had the 8600 Classic with a very large umbrella bear. So there you have it. We just built a studio set frame by frame and got lots of images, actually different images out of it. And it was not too painful doing so, even doing this alone. So in your opinion, what is the best method to build a set alone? Is it to like just go crazy in pre-shoot, or do it during the shoot or after? I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious because actually I'm looking for new methods to like improve myself. Also, I left all the links to the gear used here. So if you want to get yourself a copy of whatever I'm using in this set or just 3 sets, this is actually also a great way to support the channel and help yourself. As always, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, well, you can do so, but you don't have to. But you really should. Jokes aside, this has been YvensB, Montreal advertising and portrait photographer, and I will see you in the next video. And together, let's remember to light the world. Cheers. Sometimes I wish something more shit.